I've been thinking a lot about our old friend H. Richard Niebuhr again, as my trip to Pakistan is now just a few weeks away, and I'm preparing my lectures that I'll deliver while I'm there. For those of you who listened patiently while I trudged through a long series of devotional on his book, Christ and Culture, one of the themes Niebuhr returns to time and time again is the fact that we Christians just see things differently. And this is not an aberration. It is the way the church has been from the very beginning. I mention this because one of the things about being Presbyterian is a certain modesty about our theological claims and an insistence that being in ecumenical relationships with other kinds of Christians is not optional. To put it in other terms, one of the things that make Presbyterians tick is an appreciation for the differences among us. Hello. I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Thursday, September 19th, 2024. The word diversity has taken a bit of a hit in recent months, as if it were some kind of dirty word. We look at diversity differently. We see it as a simple fact of life. As long as there is more than one person in the world, there will be diversity, whether it is racial, cultural, social, religious, or theological. People are just different. Obviously, we are more alike than we are different, but our similarities do not mask the obvious. We differ from one another in a whole variety of ways. Even the Apostle Paul recognized a certain amount of diversity within the church. Writing to the Galatian church, he said, "As many of you as were baptized into Christ have clothed yourselves with Christ. There is no longer Jew or Greek. There is no longer slave or free. There is no longer male and female, for all of you are one in Christ Jesus." Now, I know this sounds like the exact opposite of the point I'm trying to make. It sounds as though Paul is saying that in the church there is no diversity. But what he's really saying is that we are one in Christ, even though we come from a diversity of backgrounds, experiences, and situations. We do not stop being who we are when we come into the church. In fact, it is the very diversity of our gifts that Paul lifts up when he writes to the Corinthian church. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are varieties of services, but the same Lord, and there are varieties of activities, but it's the same God who activates all of them in everyone. And he continues a few verses later, "Indeed, the body does not consist of one member, but many. If the foot would say, 'Because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear would say, 'Because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them, as He chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be?" Now, granted, this is about spiritual gifts, but it is the same with regard to the rest of the diversity of gifts we bring to the table. For part of who we are is inevitably shaped by our backgrounds. Another way of saying this is that our unity is not a matter of similarity. It is a matter of our common faith in Jesus Christ. The church contains people from a dizzying variety of backgrounds, personality types, races, nationalities, and cultures. To expect some artificial uniformity is simply not realistic. So one of the things that makes us who we are as a church is an appreciation of our differences and an appreciation of our diversity. That is how it works kind of on an individual level. Tomorrow, we'll look at how this appreciation of diversity operates with respect to diversity of beliefs and practices in the church, or to put it in other terms, in terms of our ecumenical commitments. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.